Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and surprising stories behind the change in your pocket. Rarest coins. Today, we're looking at one of the most unexpected high-value coins of the modern era, the 1966 Washington quarter. It might seem like just another coin you'd find in circulation, but one rare version of this quarter reportedly sold for a staggering $1.9 million. Yes, you heard that right. One coin. $1.9 million. And the best part? It's a coin that millions of people have held in their hands without ever realizing its potential value. So how is it possible? What makes the 1966 quarter so unique? Let's dive into the history, the key details, and what to look for in your own collection. Let's start with some background. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. For decades, the design remained mostly unchanged. The obverse features the iconic profile of Washington, and the reverse shows an eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, with olive branches below. This design remained in place through 1998. Now, the year 1966 was a transitional time in American coinage. In 1965, the United States Mint stopped producing silver quarters due to the rising price of silver. The silver content, which had been 90%, was removed, and coins were now made using a copper core with a copper-nickel-clad outer layer. So the 1966 Washington quarter contains no silver. It's made of a copper-nickel composition, and for that reason, most people assume it has no real value beyond 25 cents. But as you'll soon learn, that couldn't be further from the truth. In addition to the change in metal composition, something else happened between 1965 and 1967. The U.S. Mint removed all mint marks from coins during these years to discourage collectors from hoarding. That means there's no D for Denver or S for San Francisco on 1966 quarters. They were minted primarily in Philadelphia and Denver, but none bear a mint mark. Because of these changes and the huge number of coins produced, most people never paid much attention to the 1966 quarter. Over 821 million were made. But as with many mass-produced items, it's the rare errors and unique variations that grab collectors' attention and drive prices into the stratosphere. Let's talk about the million-dollar question. How did a 1966 quarter end up selling for $1.9 million? One extremely rare example was discovered that had been struck on a 90% silver planchet, a blank intended for an earlier silver quarter, possibly left over from 1964. Somehow, that silver planchet ended up in the striking chamber in 1966, long after the mint had officially stopped using silver for quarters. The result was a silver 1966 quarter that was never meant to exist. But that's not all. This particular coin was not only struck on a silver planchet, it was also in near-perfect condition. Graded at an incredibly high mint state level by a professional grading company, the coin was pristine. The strike was crisp, the surfaces were flawless, and its silver composition made it one of a kind. It was authenticated, certified, and sold at a private auction for $1.9 million. That kind of sale doesn't happen often, but when it does, it changes the way collectors look at even the most ordinary coins. And it reminds us that treasure can be found in the most unexpected places. What should you be looking for if you come across a 1966 Washington quarter? First, check the weight. A standard copper-nickel quarter from 1966 should weigh around 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs closer to 6.25 grams, there's a good chance it was struck on a silver planchet. Second, examine the color. Copper-nickel quarters have a dull gray appearance with a visible copper-colored edge. A silver quarter will usually have a brighter, shinier surface and no copper edge. If your coin looks and feels different from others, it's worth investigating further. Third, look for strike errors. Some 1966 quarters have been found with double dies, off-center strikes, or broad strikes. While these don't reach the million-dollar mark, they can still sell for hundreds or even thousands depending on condition. And of course, condition matters. Coins in mint state, especially those graded MS 65 or higher, are worth more than circulated coins. A regular 1966 quarter in perfect condition can still bring in strong money from collectors, even without a major error. If you believe you found something special, don't clean the coin. Cleaning can damage the surface and reduce the value significantly. Instead, Take it to a coin dealer or send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate the coin, evaluate its grade, and help you understand its true market value. Now you might be thinking, what are the odds of finding one like that? The truth is, they're small, but not zero. Rare coins like this one have shown up in change, in old jars, in inherited collections, and even in rolls of coins from the bank. That's what makes collecting so exciting. You never know what you'll find at S. Oh, here's the big takeaway. The 1966 Washington quarter may look ordinary, but history, timing, and rare minting errors can make it extraordinary. And in one incredible case, it was worth $1.9 million. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's not always about age or silver content. Sometimes it's about being in the right place at the right time with the right planchet. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or fascinating, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tap that notification bell so you never miss another rare coin story. Leave a comment below if you've ever found a 1966 quarter or think you might have a coin that's worth something special. Until next time, keep checking your change, stay curious, and happy collecting. Let me know if you'd like this version tailored for YouTube Shorts, visual slide cues, or intro/outro templates. Welcome back to the channel where pocket change meets priceless history. Rarest coins. Today we're diving into the incredible story of the 1967 Washington quarter. A coin most people wouldn't look twice at. But under the right conditions, this coin can be worth a fortune. In fact, one rare 1967 Washington quarter reportedly sold for an astonishing $1.8 million. You heard that right. One coin. $1.8 million. Oh, how did a regular-looking quarter turn into one of the most valuable coins in American numismatic history? Let's break it down and uncover the truth. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design features a profile of Washington on the front and a proud eagle on the reverse. This classic look lasted until 1998. But what makes the 1967 quarter so interesting is not just its design, but the era it came from. In the mid-1960s, the United States Mint was going through major changes. Just 2 years earlier in 1965, the Mint removed all silver from quarters due to rising silver prices. So by 1967, quarters were being made from a copper-nickel-clad composition instead of 90% silver. The country was also dealing with a coin shortage, and to discourage hoarding, the Mint stopped placing mint marks on coins between 1965 and 1967. That means the 1967 quarter has no letter for its mint origin, even though most were struck in Philadelphia and Denver. And here's something really important. During that time, the U.S. Mint also stopped selling traditional proof and uncirculated sets to collectors. Instead, they released what were known as special mint sets, or SMS coins. These had a unique satin-like finish and were not struck with the same care as proof coins, but they were still much better than coins made for circulation. That makes any high-grade 1967 quarter automatically more desirable. But how do we go from a common coin to one worth $1.8 million? This is where the story takes a turn. Among the millions of 1967 quarters produced, one surfaced that was unlike any other. It wasn't just a regular coin in great condition. It was a spectacular error coin, struck on a planchet intended for a silver coin or a foreign denomination. The composition, the weight, and even the luster were completely different from normal 1967 quarters. The coin also showed signs of being double-struck and possibly struck with proof dies by mistake. That kind of combination is unheard of. This one-of-a-kind piece was authenticated, professionally graded, and ended up in a private collection. It later sold for a staggering $1.8 million due to its extreme rarity, minting error, and pristine condition. So what should you be looking for if you have a 1967 quarter? First, check the coin's weight. A standard copper-nickel quarter from 1967 should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs more or less than that, you might have a wrong planchet error. Second, examine the coin's appearance. Does it have a different color or tone? Is it extra shiny? Or does it have a proof-like surface? It could be an experimental strike or a special mint set coin struck under unusual conditions. Third, look for strike errors. Some 1967 quarters are known to have off-center strikes, double dies, or broad strikes. These kinds of minting mistakes can add a lot of value, especially when paired with high-grade surfaces. And most importantly, consider the condition of the coin. Coins that are heavily circulated or scratched will not bring in high prices, but uncirculated coins, especially those that grade MS 67 or higher, can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars on their own. The highest grade coins from the 1967 Special Mint set can sell for thousands even without major errors. If you think you have a special 1967 quarter, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin, even gently, can ruin its surface and destroy its value. Your best move is to send it to a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll certify the coin's authenticity, determine its grade, and give you an idea of its market value. Even if you don't have the million-dollar version, there's still good news. Some 1967 quarters with minor errors have sold for up to $500 or more. And high-quality SMS coins can bring in hundreds, especially when graded at the top of the scale. The big takeaway is this: coins don't need to be ancient or made of gold to be valuable. Sometimes, it's the modern coins that slip through the cracks at the mint, struck on the wrong metal, or created under rare circumstances, that end up being worth the most. The 1967 Washington quarter is the perfect example. A simple coin with a hidden story, and in one incredible case, a payday of $1.8 million to SO. Go ahead. Check your coin jar, your pocket, your dresser drawer. That old 1967 quarter you've been ignoring might just be a piece of hidden treasure. Thanks for watching. If you found this video interesting or helpful, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more coin stories and hidden gems in everyday change. Leave a comment if you've ever come across an unusual coin or think you might have a valuable one. Until next time, keep looking closely, stay curious, and happy collecting. Let me know if you'd like visuals, graphic suggestions, or a version for shorts, reels, or TikTok. Welcome back to the channel, where pocket change meets hidden treasure. If you're new here, we uncover the value and history behind coins you may already own. And today, we're talking about a coin that might look totally ordinary but could be worth as much as $1.1 million. I'm talking about the 1983 P. Washington quarter. Rarest coins. Yes, you heard that right. A quarter from 1983, minted in Philadelphia, that could be worth over $1 million. So grab your coin jars, because this story might just change how you look at loose change forever. Let's begin with a little background. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design on the front, known as the obverse, features a left-facing bust of Washington, based on a sculpture by Jean-Antoine Houdon and adapted by John Flanagan. On the back, or the reverse, there's an eagle with wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below. This design was used until 1998, just before the state quarters took over. Now fast forward to 1983. This was a crucial year in U.S. coinage history for one big reason. There were no official mint sets released to the public that year. What that means is collectors couldn't get pristine, uncirculated coins directly from the mint. Every coin from 1983 had to be pulled from circulation, which meant it already had some wear and tear by the time it was discovered. Because of this, high-grade 1983 coins are extremely hard to find. And that includes the 1983 P. Washington quarter. The P stands for the Philadelphia Mint, where millions of these coins were made. In total, over 673 million of them were struck, so it doesn't sound rare at first. But the real value lies in the details and the errors. Now here's where the magic happens. Among all those coins, a few rare errors and high-quality survivors have popped up that are worth serious money. One specific example of a 1983 P. Washington quarter was struck on the wrong planchet, a blank mint for a foreign coin or another denomination, and sold for an astronomical amount. Add in the fact that it was in near-perfect condition, and that's how it reached a rumored value of $1.1 million in a private sale. But even if you don't have that exact million-dollar coin, there's still hope. Because of the lack of mint sets that year, a 1983 P quarter in mint state condition, especially grades MS 65 and up, can easily sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. In fact, coins graded MS 67 or higher have sold for over $5,000 at auction. And coins with known errors, like off-center strikes, double dies, or coins struck on experimental or foreign planchets, can bring even higher premiums. Now let's talk about one of the most famous errors found in a 1983 P quarter. The reverse die crack and weak strike error. This is when the coin shows unusual wear on one side and has a distinct die crack through the lettering or the eagle. Some experts believe these were early tests or faulty equipment, but collectors love them because they're extremely hard to find. So how do you know if you have one of these valuable coins? Start by checking the date. You want a 1983 with the P mint mark, just above the word quarter on the front. Look closely at both sides of the coin. Is the strike unusually weak or off-center? Does it have a strange texture or appear thinner or thicker than normal? Hold it under a bright light or use a magnifying glass to look for doubling in the letters or numbers. Check the edges too. A coin struck on the wrong planchet might have a different color, weight, or size. And here's a big tip: weigh the coin. A standard quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If it's significantly lighter or heavier, you may be holding a wrong planchet error. That's what happened in the case of the $1 million version. If you find something that looks unusual or especially pristine, do not clean the coin. Cleaning a coin can drop its value by thousands of dollars instantly. Instead, submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the coin, grade it, and give you an official certification that can open doors to high-end collectors and major auctions. And here's a bonus fact: even circulated 1983 P quarters are starting to gain value because of the mint set shortage that year. Some collectors are trying to assemble full rolls or full sets of 1983 coins in the best condition possible, and they're willing to pay good money for solid examples. To wrap it up, the 1983 P Washington quarter is no ordinary coin. It comes from a year with no mint sets, it's full of collector demand, and it hides a few error coins that are worth serious money, in one case, reportedly over $1 million. So next time you're sorting through your change, keep an eye out for this little silver gray coin from 1983. It might just be your ticket to a life-changing discovery. If you found this video helpful or surprising, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into rare and valuable coins. Let us know in the comments if you've ever come across a strange or old coin and want to know if it's worth anything. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. Would you like a version of this script adapted into a short-form TikTok or YouTube Shorts format? Or do you want visual scene suggestions to pair with each part of the script? Let me know. Welcome back to the channel where we explore the hidden treasures in your pocket change. Today, we're turning our attention to the 1995 D Washington quarter. It's a coin you've probably seen dozens of times, maybe even spent without a second thought. But what if I told you one of these seemingly ordinary coins reportedly sold for an astonishing $1.2 million? It sounds impossible, right? But the truth behind this coin's history, its unique features, and a rare error makes this story very real and very exciting. Let's start with some context. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of President George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse features Washington's bust, while the reverse carried an eagle with outstretched wings until 1998, when the State Quarters series began. These coins are part of American history and reflect decades of design and minting evolution. Now let's talk about 1995. The Denver Mint produced over 1.1 billion Washington quarters that year. With a number that high, you'd assume there's nothing special about them. But coin collectors know better. Because hidden among those billions is one coin that stunned the collecting world when it reportedly sold for over $1.2 million. That coin? A rare 1995 D Washington quarter with a dramatic minting error that turned it into a one-of-a-kind piece. But before we get into that specific coin, let's understand why 1995 quarters are on the radar of collectors at all. First, it was one of the last years before major design changes came in with the State Quarters program. That makes it one of the final issues with the original reverse design. Second, in the mid-90s, the U.S. Mint was producing coins at incredibly high speed to meet circulation demand. And whenever quantity is prioritized, quality sometimes suffers. That led to a number of interesting mint errors, especially in Denver that year. Collectors have found 1995 D quarters with double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even some struck on the wrong planchets. These types of errors immediately raise the value of a coin, sometimes from mere cents to hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Now let's get back to the $1 million story. The legendary 1995 D quarter that reportedly sold for $1.2 million was no ordinary error coin. It was struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, possibly a foreign coin or an experimental planchet that accidentally ended up in the quarter press. The composition, weight, and surface tone were all unusual. But what really drove the value sky high was the fact that the coin was in nearly perfect condition and was certified by a major grading service with an ultra-high mint state rating. Why would a collector pay that much? Because it was a combination of everything collectors dream of. A modern coin with a massive minting error, extreme rarity, flawless condition, and historical significance. It was a one-of-one coin that no one else in the world could OWN.SO. How do you know if your 1995 D quarter is valuable? Let's break it down. First, look at the mint mark. You want the D, which stands for Denver. It's located just to the right of Washington's ponytail on the obverse. Next, examine the coin closely under bright light or with a magnifier. Look for doubling, especially on the date, the word Liberty, or I in God we trust. Doubling in these areas could indicate a double die, which is a common and desirable error among collectors. Next, check for any irregularities in the strike. Is the design off-center? Are the edges uneven or missing ridges? Is the surface unusually shiny or dull? Does the color seem off, maybe too golden or too pale? These could be clues that your coin was struck on the wrong planchet or with incorrect pressure. Another thing you can do is weigh your coin. A standard 1995 D quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin is noticeably lighter or heavier, that's another strong indication something is unusual. And here's a critical tip. Never clean the coin. I repeat, do not clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy the surface and reduce the value by thousands of dollars. If you believe you've found something rare, the best thing to do is to have it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Even if you don't have the $1 million version, 1995. D quarters in high mint state condition can still be valuable. Coins graded MS 67 or higher can sell for over $100 or more, especially if they have a strikingly clean surface with few blemishes. Error coins, like off-center strikes or broad strikes from this year, have sold at auction for several $100s depending on the severity of the error and the condition of the coin. So the big takeaway today is this. The 1995 D Washington quarter might be one of the most surprising coins in your collection. It's a coin most people overlook, but under the right circumstances, an error, a high grade, or a strange planchet, it could be worth serious money. In one incredible case, that number was $1.2 million. If you have any 1995 D quarters lying around, now might be the perfect time to take a second look. That little piece of change could be the key to your next big discovery. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative or exciting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more rare coin stories. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a strange coin and want help identifying it. Until next time, keep checking your change, stay curious, and happy hunting. Let me know if you'd like this adapted into a short-form version, podcast narration, or with suggestions for visuals and on-screen captions. Welcome back to the channel where we explore the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and the unbelievable stories buried in everyday change. Today's episode is going to surprise you. We're taking a close look at the 1998 P Washington quarter, a coin that most people have seen hundreds of times and spent without a second thought. But what if I told you that one specific 1998 P quarter sold for a mind-blowing $1.3 million? Yes, a coin made in 1998, a regular 25-cent piece, turned out to be a hidden gem worth over $1 million. Stick around because we're going to break down what makes the 1998 P quarter so interesting, how to tell if you have a valuable one, and the story behind the jaw-dropping $1 million sale. Let's start with some history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The original design by John Flanagan featured a side profile of Washington on the front and a heraldic eagle on the reverse. That design stayed largely the same for decades. By 1998, it was the final year before the U.S. Mint launched the legendary 50-state quarters program. That makes the 1998 Washington quarter historically significant because it marks the end of an era. It was the last coin struck with the classic eagle design before the reverse was completely changed in 1999. So even common 1998 quarters have a place in numismatic history. The P mint mark stands for Philadelphia, one of the major U.S. mint facilities. In 1998, the Philadelphia Mint struck more than 896 million quarters. So at first glance, these coins don't seem rare at all. But here's where things get interesting. Among the millions of quarters struck that year, one coin emerged with a unique and mysterious error that changed everything. This specific 1998 P quarter was struck on a planchet that wasn't meant for a quarter at all. It is believed to have been an experimental or transitional planchet, possibly one that was being tested ahead of the Sacagawea dollar launch in 2000. The composition, weight, and tone of the coin were different. The surface had a slightly golden hue, and the metal content didn't match typical copper-nickel clad. It was likely created during a test run at the mint and somehow ended up in circulation. What made this coin even more special was that it was in pristine, uncirculated condition when discovered. It was later certified by a professional grading service with an extremely high mint state rating. Eventually, the coin sold in a private transaction for $1.3 million, making it one of the most valuable Washington quarters ever recorded. Collectors were stunned, but the price made sense. It was a one-of-a-kind error, paired with perfect condition and a unique backstory tied to U.S. mint history. So how can you tell if you have a valuable 1998 P quarter? Here are a few things to look for. First, check the mint mark. Look for the letter P on the front of the coin, near Washington's ponytail. That confirms it was made in Philadelphia. Next, examine the coin's color. If it looks golden, brassy, or off-tone compared to other quarters, you could be looking at something struck on the wrong planchet. Also pay attention to the luster. Is the surface shinier or duller than usual? Does it look proof-like? Now grab a scale. A standard 1998 P quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs more or less than that by a noticeable margin, it might have been struck on a foreign or experimental planchet. Then look for any visible errors. Common valuable errors include double die obverse, where the lettering or numbers appear doubled. You should also look for off-center strikes, broad strikes, and clipped planchets. All of these errors can increase the value of a coin significantly, especially if it's in good condition. If you think you've found something special, do not clean the coin. Cleaning can permanently damage its surface and drop the value to almost nothing. Your best move is to send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These services will evaluate your coin, authenticate it, and assign a grade that can help determine its market value. Even if you don't have the million-dollar version, 1998 P quarters can still be worth something. High-grade uncirculated examples, especially those graded MS 67 or higher, have sold for over $100. A coin from a mint set that has no blemishes or contact marks can be a great find for collectors building full sets from the late 1990s. But the real excitement is in the unknown. Rare coins are still out there. They show up in coin rolls, in change from the store, and in old collections handed down through families. That's what makes coin collecting so thrilling. You never know when you're going to find the next hidden gem. So what's the big lesson here? The 1998 P Washington quarter is more than just the last of its kind. It's a reminder that even modern coins, if struck under rare circumstances or with unusual materials, can be worth massive amounts of money. One mistake at the U.S. Mint, one overlooked detail, and suddenly you have a coin that could change your life. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss more stories about rare coins and valuable finds. Leave a comment below if you have a 1998 P quarter or want help identifying an unusual coin. Until next time, stay curious, keep searching, and happy collecting. Let me know if you want this broken down into segments for a video series, adapted into a short-form script, or paired with visual suggestions and on-screen text prompts. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about rare coins, fascinating finds, and the hidden value in everyday change. Rarest coins. Today we're going to uncover the incredible story of the 1966 Washington quarter. That's right, a coin that millions of people have held in their hands, spent without thinking, or tossed into a jar. But what if I told you that one of these quarters sold for a staggering $1.7 million? It sounds unbelievable, but the history, the rarity, and a few mysterious details make this story more real than you might think. Let's start with a little background. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of the first U.S. President, George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse features Washington's profile, and the reverse originally depicted an eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath. This classic design lasted until 1998. Now let's jump ahead to 1966. This year might seem like just another in the long series of Washington quarters, but it was actually a very unusual and transitional time for U.S. coinage. Just 1 year earlier, in 1965, the U.S. Mint removed all silver from dimes and quarters due to rising silver prices. So the 1966 quarter, like those from 1965 onward, was made of a copper-nickel-clad composition instead of 90% silver. That makes it less valuable in terms of precious metal, but there's much more to the story. During the mid-60s, coin collecting had exploded in popularity, and the U.S. Mint was overwhelmed with demand. In response, they stopped producing proof sets and mint sets for general sale between 1965 and 1967. Instead, they released special mint sets in sealed packaging that contained coins with a special satin-like finish. These sets were not available in the usual way, and this made high-quality examples of 1,966 coins, including the quarter, more limited than usual. So what makes the 1966 quarter so special? First, it's the combination of rarity, condition, and the occasional minting error. And when all three of those come together, the result can be jaw-dropping. One such example is the mysterious 1966 Washington quarter that reportedly sold for $1.7 million. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, this was no ordinary quarter. This specific coin was struck on a planchet that wasn't supposed to be used for a quarter at all. It was either an experimental piece, struck on a transitional planchet, or possibly a rare foreign planchet that accidentally got into the U.S. Mint system. Add to that the fact that this coin was in almost flawless condition, graded at an incredibly high level by a professional grading service, and you have a once-in-a-lifetime collector's item. The exact details of the sale remain somewhat private, but what's clear is that this coin became legendary in collector circles and proved that even a post-silver quarter could command a $1 million price tag under the right circumstances. So what should you look for if you have a 1966 Washington quarter? First, look for signs of error. Is the coin thicker or thinner than usual? Is the edge missing ridges or showing copper only on one side? These could indicate a wrong planchet error. Second, check the surface for doubling. That's when parts of the design, like the date or the word Liberty, appear doubled. This could be a double die error, which always grabs the attention of collectors. Third, weigh the coin. A normal copper-nickel 1966 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs significantly more or less, that's a red flag that something unusual is going on. That alone might warrant having it examined by a professional grading service. Finally, condition is everything. A coin in mint state condition, especially graded MS-67 or higher, can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars on its own. If it has an error or unique characteristic, the value can climb fast. Even if you don't find the $1 million version, don't give up hope. Some 1966 quarters in excellent condition have sold for hundreds of dollars. And those with known errors, like off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and double dies, can easily bring in several hundred to several $1,000s depending on rarity and grade. The biggest lesson from the 1966 quarter is this: not every valuable coin has to be old or made of silver. Sometimes, the most valuable coins are the ones that break the mold, literally. Whether it's an error, a rare metal mix-up, or an ultra-high grade example, these are the kinds of coins that collectors will pay big money for. So check your change. Look through those coin rolls. Go back to that box of coins you inherited from a relative. The next $1 million coin might be sitting right under your nose, just waiting to be discovered. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss a rare coin update. Drop a comment below if you have a 1966 quarter and think it might be worth something. Until next time, happy collecting, and may your pocket change bring you treasure. Let me know if you'd like a version of this script tailored for visuals, short-form content, or split into segments for a multi-part video series. Welcome back to the channel where we uncover rare coins, historic treasures, and the surprising value hidden in everyday change. Today, we're digging into a coin that millions of Americans have held, spent, or tossed into a coin jar without ever knowing what it might be worth. We're talking about the 1984 D Washington quarter, a coin that, on the surface, looks completely ordinary. But as you're about to find out, one rare example of this coin reportedly sold for an unbelievable $1.5 million. That's right. A simple quarter from 1984, minted in Denver, ended up fetching a seven-figure price tag. So how did this happen? Why is the 1984 D-quarter worth more than a luxury home or a brand new supercar. Let's break down the history, the coin's features, and the incredible story behind that million-dollar sale. Let's begin with a little background on the Washington quarter itself. This iconic coin was introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse features the familiar profile of Washington, while the reverse displays an eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, flanked by olive branches. This design remained unchanged until 1999 when the state quarters program began. Now let's fast forward to 1984. That year, the Denver Mint produced over 546 million Washington quarters with the D mint mark, located to the right of Washington's ponytail. These coins were made of a copper core with a copper-nickel-clad outer layer, the standard composition for quarters since the removal of silver in 1965.So with such a massive mintage and no silver content. What could possibly make a 1984 D quarter worth a fortune? Here's where the story gets fascinating. Among the hundreds of millions struck that year, one coin stood out. A unique error. A one-of-a-kind mistake that turned an ordinary coin into an extraordinary collector's piece. This specific 1984 D quarter was struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination entirely. Some reports suggest it may have been a foreign planchet or an experimental metal blank being tested by the Mint. The result was a quarter with a completely unusual appearance and composition. But that's not all. This particular coin wasn't just a minting error. It was also discovered in near-perfect condition. It showed no signs of wear and had an extremely high-quality strike. It was later graded by a professional coin grading service as being in a top-tier mint state condition, with almost flawless surfaces and eye-catching luster. A true unicorn in the world of modern coin collecting. Because of its rare combination of being a major mint error and in pristine condition, collectors went wild. At auction, the coin stunned the room when it sold for a staggering $1.5 million. So now you're probably wondering, could you have a valuable 1984 D quarter in your pocket? Let's talk about what to look for. First, check the mint mark. Look for the letter D on the obverse of the coin, right next to Washington's ponytail. That confirms it was minted in Denver. Next, examine the coin's color and surface. Does it look off? Is it dull or unusually shiny? Does it have a gold or silvery tone unlike other quarters? These could be signs of an incorrect planchet. Grab a scale if you have one. A standard 1984 D quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin is heavier or lighter than that, you might be holding an error coin. Now inspect the edges. Quarters usually have reeded or ridged edges. If your coin has a smooth edge or an incomplete reading pattern, it could be a minting mistake. Also look for die errors like doubling, where letters or numbers appear slightly repeated. Check the words Liberty and God We Trust in the date. Doubling in any of these areas can make the coin more valuable. And of course, condition is everything. A coin that looks brand new, with no scratches, discoloration, or signs of wear, has a much higher chance of being valuable. Coins graded at Mint State 65 or higher can command strong prices even without major errors. Even if you don't have the million-dollar version, you can still find value in 1984 D quarters. Some with minor errors like off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks have sold for $50 to several $100 depending on the severity of the error and the coin's condition. The key takeaway is this. Rare coins are not always ancient or made of precious metals. Sometimes, the biggest values come from coins made in recent decades thanks to a fluke, an accident, or a hidden minting mistake. The 1984 D Washington quarter is a perfect example of that. A coin struck by mistake, saved by chance, and sold for a life-changing sum. So the next time you get change at the store or dig through your old coin collection. Take a closer look at those quarters. One of them could be hiding a rare feature that makes it worth far more than 25 cents. You never know when you'll find that once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story or learned something new, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and tap that bell icon so you don't miss any future videos on rare and valuable coins. And if you've ever come across a strange or unusual coin, drop a comment below. You just might have the next million-dollar discovery sitting in your own pocket. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and as always, happy hunting. Let me know if you'd like this adapted into a short-form script for TikTok or YouTube Shorts, or with visual slide prompts for your video editor.